I'm a 30-year-old lady who has just been through one of the most difficult months of her life. My mother died unexpectedly of a stroke, and it has been difficult to move on from the family drama and her death. I never expected to be dealing with something like this at my age, yet here we are. To give you some context, my parents divorced when I was 17. It was not pretty. My mother cheated on my father with his best friend, and it tore our family apart. My eldest brother, Alex, who is now 35, supported Mum during the divorce. I decided to live with Dad. This created a schism between us that never quite healed. Mum was a successful entrepreneur. She started her real estate firm from the ground up and did quite well for herself. She launched a modest property management company in our basement when I was a child. I recall spending weekends helping her organize paperwork and learning about contracts. She built it up over time into a multi-million-dollar enterprise with properties all throughout the country. It was inspiring to see her work so hard and reach her goals. After the divorce, she became even more involved in her profession. I believe it was her method of dealing with the grief of Dad's betrayal. Many evenings, I'd find her sitting at her computer at 1 a.m, poring over spreadsheets or working on new business opportunities. Despite the hard hours, Mum always found time for me. We'd eat supper together every night, and she never missed any of my school activities. She remarried a few years later to James, a charming man who seemed to provide her happiness. I was relieved she had met someone after going through so much agony with my father. James was always nice to me, never trying to replace my father, but always available when I needed someone to talk to. He supported Mum's business pursuits and was a real partner to her in every way. They travelled together, collaborated on community projects, and appeared to enjoy each other's company. It was good to see Mum smiling again after everything she had been through. Dad, on the other hand, did not fare well following the divorce. His relationship with Mum's ex-best friend did not continue, and he has struggled financially since. He's always been furious over the divorce settlement, believing Mum cheated him out of what he deserved. However, from what I understand, the settlement was fair. Mum even gave him the vacation home they shared, which he eventually had to sell owing to financial issues. Dad has tried a variety of occupations over the years, but has never stayed with one for very long. He's always had a talent for playing the victim, blaming his shortcomings on Mum and the divorce. He worked as a car salesperson for a few years, then as a construction worker, and even tried unsuccessfully to start his own landscaping business. He'd get excited at first, then rapidly lose interest when things got rough. Alex has followed in his footsteps, frequently failing to keep a job and being dependent on Dad for help. He withdrew from the university after 2 years, claiming it was not for him. Since then, he's alternated between IT positions and freelance work, never remaining in one location for long. He's always talking about huge goals and dreams, but he never follows through on them. Now, return to the present. Mum's funeral occurred 2 weeks ago, and it was a very sad one. Many people in the real estate industry came to pay their respects. The chapel was crowded, a monument to how many people Mum had impacted over the years. I saw familiar faces from charity events and business conferences, all coming to bid farewell to a woman they respected and admired. I delivered the eulogy, remembering Mum's generosity, work ethic, and love for her family and community. I discussed how she taught me the importance of hard work, ethics, and giving back to others. I highlighted her enthusiasm for her firm, not just as a source of income, but also as a method to create jobs and help the local economy. It was difficult to get through everything without crying, but I wanted to honour her properly. Dad and Alex were also there, which shocked me. They hadn't contacted Mum in years. They were sitting in the back of the chapel for the service. Half of me was relieved they came to pay their respects, but another half was concerned about their intention. They hadn't exhibited any interest in Mum's life for years, so why start now? After the service, as people walked around and expressed their sympathies, I overheard Dad and Alex conversing quietly in a corner. They did not see me around. What I heard made me quite angry. Dad said something about how this was their time to get what they deserved. Alex agreed, suggesting that they strive to acquire at least 70% of Mum's fortune. They intended to fight the will, alleging Mum was not in her right mind when she created it, and that Dad deserved more for all the years he helped her build her business. I couldn't believe what I heard. We were at Mum's funeral, and they were already planning how to get their hands on her money. It seemed like a betrayal of everything Mum stood for. She had always emphasised to me the importance of working hard and making your own way in life. Hearing Dad and Alex scheming to take what wasn't theirs made me sick to my stomach. I wanted to confront them right then and there, but I refrained. It was Mum's funeral, and I didn't want to make a disturbance. Instead, I chose to wait and seek additional information. I needed to be rational about this and not let my emotions get the best of me. Over the next few days, while we coped with the aftermath of Mum's death, I kept an eye on Dad and Alex. They were too friendly to James, Mum's widower, which was unusual for them. I could see straight through their act. They were probably expecting that by seeming pleasant, he would be more willing to give in to their demands. I also caught them rummaging around Mum's home office when they thought no one was watching. I spotted Alex attempting to open Mum's filing cabinet, stating he was hunting for old family photos. It was evident they were looking for any information they could use to challenge the will. Last week, we met with Mum's lawyer to read the will. James sat quietly, still in disbelief at Mum's abrupt death. Dad and Alex fidgeted in their seats, exchanging glances. I attempted to keep my expression neutral, not wanting to reveal that I knew about their objectives. Mum, as I feared, left the most of her fortune to James and me, with a few lesser bequests to charities she liked. She left the business to me, knowing that I had been working with her for several years and was familiar with its procedures. James received the major residence and a considerable chunk of her savings. Dad and Alex were given token sums of $5,000 apiece. Dad exploded when the lawyer finished reading. He began ranting about how unjust it was, how he had supported Mum for years as she established her business, and how he deserved better. He talked about the sacrifices he claimed to have made, conveniently failing to mention his infidelity, which terminated their marriage. Alex chimed in, claiming it wasn't fair that I received so much when I had already profited from living with Mum following the divorce. He accused Mum of picking favourites and punishing them for supporting Dad during the divorce. They had clearly rehearsed their arguments. I couldn't hold back any longer. I told them that I overheard their chat during the burial. I called them out for planning to overturn the will and taking advantage of the situation. I told them they should be ashamed of themselves for only thinking about money when we should be mourning Mum. Dad tried to explain himself, stating that I didn't realise how difficult things had been for him since the divorce. He talked about having to make ends meet, casually ignoring how he had spent the divorce settlement. Alex accused me of always siding with Mum and showing no concern for their needs, but I held my ground. I reminded them of how they had treated Mum over the years, how they had excluded her from their lives and refused her attempts to reconcile. I pointed out that Mum was under no duty to leave them anything, given their alienation. The fact that she left them anything at all demonstrates her compassion. Dad and Alex stormed out of the meeting, threatening to seek legal action. James was in tears, overwhelmed by the entire event. The lawyer informed us that the will was solid and difficult to question, but he cautioned that if Dad and Alex wanted to take legal action, things could get unpleasant. Since then, my phone has been bombarded with messages from extended family members. Some are supportive, claiming that Dad and Alex are greedy and that Mum has every right to disperse her fortune as she sees fit. Others believe I am being overly harsh and that I should try to see their perspective. Some have recommended that I give Dad and Alex some of my fortune to keep the peace, but I am steadfast in my commitment to protect Mum's intentions. She worked hard for what she had, and she was entitled to select how it should be dispersed after her death. When Dad cheated on her and left, he waived any claim to her possessions, and Alex opted to support Dad during the divorce, scarcely keeping a relationship with Mum over the years. I've spent hours going over Mum's financial records and the history of her firm. I want to be prepared if Dad and Alex decide to take legal action. Dad's assertions about assisting Mum while she created the business appear overblown at best. The business didn't take off until after Mum's divorce, when she immersed herself in her profession. I've also spoken with long-term employees at the company. They've shared anecdotes of Mum's hard work and dedication, as well as late evenings and weekends spent at work. It is apparent that Mum's achievement was the result of her own work, not any purported assistance from Dad. Linda, a lifelong employee, told me how Mum gave her a chance when no one else would. Linda had a criminal record from her adolescence and struggled to obtain a job. Mum recruited her as a receptionist and helped her advance to the position of office manager over time. There are plenty of stories like this one about Mum giving people second opportunities, supporting colleagues during difficult times, and always putting people before profits. These stories have only strengthened my desire to defend Mum's legacy. She built this company not just for herself, but for everyone who relies on it for a living. I cannot allow Dad and Alex's greed to jeopardize everything. But a small part of me worries if I'm being overly rigid. Should I try to work out a compromise to keep the family at peace? I don't want to disrespect Mum's memory or go against her final desires, but I also don't want a lengthy legal struggle that will deplete the estate and generate additional family conflict. It is a difficult circumstance, and I am unsure of the best course of action. For the time being, my primary concentration is on assisting James and ensuring that Mum's business runs well. I took a leave of absence from my own employment to handle everything. It's been difficult dealing with the sadness of losing Mum, while simultaneously protecting her legacy from Dad and Alex's greed. I've been having difficulties sleeping because I keep rehearsing the confrontation with Dad and Alex in my head. Half Half of me feels bad for causing additional family strife so soon after Mum's death, while another half is enraged that they would try to take advantage of the situation in this way. I had been anxious about James. He has been silent since the will reading, and I can tell the tension is getting to him. I've been trying to keep him away from the worst of the turmoil, but it's not easy. He loved Mum dearly, and seeing her memory soiled by this financial squabble breaks his heart. Business has also been a source of stress. Mum was the company's heart and soul, and her death has been felt deeply by all. I'm doing my best to fill her shoe, but it's a great burden. The last thing I need is a court dispute interfering with my ability to manage the business effectively. I considered paying Dad and Alex a little higher settlement just to get them to leave, but I'm concerned that giving in to their demands will only inspire them to seek more. More importantly, it would be against Mum's explicit wishes. Yesterday, I discovered an old photo album at Mum's office. There were images of our family from before we divorced. There was one image that really spoke to me. It started the day Mum launched her first office. Dad was standing next to Mum, smiling as she cut the ribbon. Alex and I were also there, simply kids, excited for the big day. I'm not sure what happened to cause such a sudden transformation. How did we get from that happy family to the disaster we are in now? So, Reddit, AmITheA, for confronting my father and brother about their plot to seize the majority of my mother's estate. Should I defend Mum's wishes or try to find a middle ground? I could use some outside perspective on this entire issue. Update #1. It's been over 2 months since my previous post, and I wish I had better news to report. The situation between my father and Alex has gotten considerably worse than I could have anticipated. I'm starting to feel like I'm in the middle of a strange soap opera. This is real life, and there's no dramatic music to warn me when things are about to go wrong. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone who responded to my first post. Your guidance and support have been a lifeline during this chaotic period. Thank you to everyone who told me I was correct to stand by my position. It has helped me remain steadfast in the face of what has occurred after. And thank you to those who proposed finding a medium ground. I attempted to compromise, but okay, I'll get to that. So where do I start? I suppose I'll start with the lawsuit. Yeah, you read that correctly. Dad and Alex have actually hired a lawyer to challenge Mum's will. I was issued with papers around 2 weeks after the reading. Their lawyer has a reputation for being brutal in inheritance disputes. The complaint alleges that Mum was not of sound mind when she made her will, and that Dad used undue influence over her during their marriage to create the firm. They're asking for 70% of the estate, which I overheard them discussing at the burial. It's absurd. But it's generating serious issues. The legal fees are already adding up. I had to employ our own lawyer to defend against their allegations. Fortunately, Emma, Mum's lifelong friend and legal counsel, has volunteered to represent us. She is well versed in the family and business background, which is quite helpful. However, even with her somewhat discounted pricing, it's not inexpensive. However, Emma has been fantastic. She's certain that Mum's will is strong and that Dad and Alex have nothing to stand on. However, she has told me that these situations might take months, if not years, to resolve. The prospect of dealing with this for so long makes me exhausted. However, the lawsuit isn't even the worst part. Dad and Alex have launched a smear campaign against me and James in our town. They're circulating all kinds of horrible rumours. They're telling people that James tricked Mum into rewriting her will, that I've been embezzling from the company for years, and that we intend to sell the company and dismiss everyone. Of course, none of this is real, but that has not prevented people from discussing it. I've had to spend hours on the phone with staff to reassure them that their jobs are safe. Some of our long-term clients have started raising inquiries, wondering if they should go elsewhere. It is putting significant pressure on the organisation, which is the last thing we need right now. Last week, I overheard 2 of our newer employees talking quietly in the break room. They were discussing whether they should begin looking for new jobs, in case the rumours of widespread layoffs were true. I had to convene an unscheduled staff meeting to deal with the gossip. I hate that it's come to this, that I have to defend myself and Mum's memory in front of the very individuals who worked with her for years. The rumour concerning embezzlement is especially foolish. Mum was concerned with the company's money, and she taught me to be the same way. I am furious at the thought of stealing from the business she founded. I've spent the last week poring through years of financial documents with our accountant, preparing to defend myself if this charge is included in the case. James is taking it very hard. He isn't used to this level of drama and backstabbing. He's even contemplated giving in to Dad and Alex's demands in order to put an end to everything. I've had to calm him down multiple times and remind him that this is exactly what they want. The other night, I discovered James crying in Mum's study. He was holding one of her old scarves, which she used to wear all the time while working late at home.